So I am not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do tomorrow because it's a holiday. And right now I'm fasting. And holidays don't care if you're fasting. And if you're not careful, you can get into this place where your brain is telling you one thing and you're feeling guilty and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling angry. We're going to talk about how we get through holidays if we're fasting. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. And the E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications and go to the next level. And in this year, new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes right here on the channel. If you're new, go ahead and put new in the comments because we'd love to welcome you to the community with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I'm glad that you are here. Also, if you have questions as we go throughout the night, go ahead and drop those in the comments as well, because we'd love to get to those so we can deal with them and talk and go through some of those answers. Also, as you know, the way we do it here, I've got some things that we're going to be looking at here in just a minute. I've got my my Dexcom and my Libre monitors that we'll take a look at here in just a minute. You'll see my blood sugar that's on the screen. You'll see my meters that I've got hanging out over to the side. And you also will see that right there, right down there below, I've got my Clarity, my Dexcom Clarity app that we'll take a look at here in just a minute as we get into our conversation. But our conversation that we're dealing with tonight has to do with the holidays. And also 93 hours right now. We've just passed 93 hours of fasting. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. If you're out there, go ahead and say hello. I do see one of our community members hopping in. Hey, Steve, how you doing, man? Glad that you are here. Whatever platform you're on, we should be streaming now to Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and, of course, here on YouTube. So if you see someone, if you don't see someone, go ahead and let them know that we are in the space and that we're hanging out. So, Steve, I want you to confirm something for me, man. Hopefully you're hearing me. If you guys remember a couple of days ago, we actually went through the entire show and you guys weren't hearing me. So go ahead and if you're hearing me, say yes. Just drop that in the comments for me right now. All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit. We'll get into a check-in here in just a minute. So fasting is one of the amazing tools that we've been using in the process of reversing our diabetes. I want to hop over and as we get into the discussion for tonight, I want to explain what the diabetes reversal tools are that we've talked about. The diabetes reversal tools, because this is what we've been talking about, right? It is the tools that we're using in the decision that we've made to be healthy. And here on the channel, as you know, we talk about the triple E formula for success, which is education, empowerment, and encouragement. Right? We educate with the shows, with the podcasts, with the blogs. We empower with the tools, which we'll talk about here, and we encourage with the community. Right? So that's the premise. That's the basis of where we are. But some of the tools that we've used, some of the tools that we're using are, we figured out our why. Right, the reason why we want to do things. Fasting, which is what we're doing right now. The HEAT model, right? The habits, emotions, access, and taste, right? That's what's on the shirt. The emotional intelligence, and then medication management. There are some other things, but I wanted to pick out these ones because these are some of the key components in our process of reversing our diabetes, right? So make sure so that's what it is. And it's not just diabetes. You'll see down there at the bottom that there are a slew of metabolic diseases, metabolic syndromes, metabolic issues that we get into that we are also getting benefit from, benefit in. So while we are working right now trying to reverse diabetes, there are some other things that happen, other things that we get benefit from, and you'll see those down there at the bottom of the screen, because it is not just one thing. There are several things that we use as we move in the direction of getting healthier. And fasting is one of those. And, people say to me, hey, Dr. Woode, why are you doing a 72-hour fast? Why are you doing a 48-hour fast? Why are you doing a 36-hour fast? And for crying out loud, why would you do a 93-hour fast? And I was actually explaining that just today to someone in the office. And it has to do, when we did a show that talked about which fast should you do? Should you do alternate day fasting, intermittent fasting? Should you do extended fasting? Should you do a 24, 36, 48-hour fast? All of those are questions that I get. And the basic answer to that is, the fast that you do depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you have some significant things that are going on in your life metabolically, and you need to move quickly in the direction of becoming healthy, then you do a more extended fast. If there are some things you need to tweak, then you'll do an intermittent fasting. Like I do intermittent fasting in combination with my extended fast. So on the days when I'm not fasting, I do intermittent fasting. So it is a combination. Some of you are out there right now and you're doing a particular type of diet. You're doing a ketogenic diet or a Mediterranean diet, or you're doing a low carb diet. Whatever the type of diet is, it can be coupled with fasting. And so why do I do a 72-hour or 96-hour fast? It is because there are some metabolic things that I am wanting to get to quickly, and so I use it. Remember, fasting is also simply a tool. And we pull the tool out whenever we need the tool. So I may decide that one week I need a 24-hour fasting tool, or a 36-hour fasting tool, or, crying out loud, I need a 72-hour fasting tool. Okay, that typically, when I talk to people, I say, hey, if you've been, like some people right now are on vacation, and you've been on vacation, you've been on a cruise, you've been, wherever it is, and during that time, you are not on a particular eating plan, I'm not going to say diet, a particular eating plan, and there are things that you've eaten beyond what you normally eat, and you come back and you look at your blood sugars, you look at your weight, and you say, wait a minute, I've got to do something to basically correct what I did last week or the week before. Hey, let's pull out the tool of fasting and let's use it. And which fast do I do? Well, depends on what's going on. Right? If you've got about 1.5 pounds to go, maybe you do a shorter fast. But if you went away and you came back and now you're 10 pounds up, which is not uncommon, then you say, hey, I probably need to do a 48 or 72-hour fast. Okay? So remember, it's a tool. Well, one of the big issues that comes up is holidays. And we are right now in the process of getting into one of those holidays, right? So 4th of July, Independence Day here. And so one of the questions that happens, one of the places that people struggle is, what do I do in my fasting during the holiday? And so what I want to do is I want to just go through and we're going to talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. But first, let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's do a check-in, because I am fasting, y'all, for right now. We've just passed 93 hours and 12 minutes of fasting. Right, on our way to 96, but we're going to talk about whether we're getting there here in just a minute, because I've got some stuff over here I'm going to show you. But how am I feeling? So physically, when we talk about physically in terms of fasting, it is usually a question of being lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, feeling palpitations, feeling woozy. What is my energy level? And right now, all of those, if I check all those boxes, I'm feeling, if 0 is I'm feeling terrible, and 10 is I'm feeling amazing, so I'd be a 9.5. So I'm not feeling lightheaded, not feeling dizzy, not feeling sweaty, not feeling palpitations, not feeling drained. If you guys remember earlier in the week when I came on and I did my check-in, I was talking about how I was feeling tired, fatigued, not from the fasting, but I was feeling tired and fatigued because I was staying up late and not doing a good job of resting. But right now, feeling fine. Mentally is another place that people will struggle. And as we talked about over the course of the check-ins, if you've not done so, go back and look at one of those check-ins that we do where we review fasting. And we'll actually do that a little bit more tomorrow when we do our check-in. Once you pass that first, 18 hours, 12, 18 hours, then your body kicks into ketosis, and there's this mental clarity that comes over you. And so right now, I'm not feeling foggy. I'm not feeling dull. I'm not feeling blunted in my thought process. So my mentation actually is doing well. And then emotionally, man, I'm just so psyched because it's a holiday, right? So we got a short week. My family and I are going to be hanging out, and we'll show you some footage of maybe some of that at some point. But excited to be able to take some time off. I love what I do. I love being in the office. Every time I walk through the door to see a patient, every time I talk to a client here, every time I get on with you guys, I'm excited. In fact, you can probably, after I get off of one of these shows, you can actually take a light bulb and screw it into my mouth, and the light bulb would probably go on because of the energy and the excitement that I get just from being in this space. But part of taking care of myself, part of taking care of my health, part of being well is, hey, taking some time to hang out with the family. And that's what I love about holidays, because we get to do that, okay? And I get to spend some time with my son and my wife, and yeah, just excited. So anyway, so emotionally, I'm feeling good. Now, all of these, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of these issues, all of these areas during the fast, they do better if we follow the principles of preparing for a fast. That is making sure that you're rested, making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that during your non-fasting days that you are eating a balanced diet that is nutrient rich, and then making sure that you are not coming out of a stressful event or going into a stressful event. Right? Those are the four pillars, and we talk about pillars here, but the four key things that you want to do in order to be successful in the fast. So that when you do your check-in, you can now go through each of those and say, okay, yeah, this is doing well because I prepared for the fast and I did a good job. Okay? All right, so now let's hop over and let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And you'll see there on the screen, so my blood sugar right now is 56. That is based on the Libre. And if I go to my Dexcom, it says that my blood sugar right now is 63. And I want to hop over and take a look to see what my monitors are doing. So I've got a Keto Mojo meter, and then I've got a Contour, and this is the Contour Next Gen, right? So there are lots of different Contours, but that's one I have. So, and then let's grab a Lancet, and I'm gonna pull two different types out today. We're gonna grab a test strip for the Keto Mojo, so that's blood sugar, and then the blue ones are for ketones, okay? And then, of course, I need a test strip for this guy. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that right now. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pop. This is the Contour. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Keto Mojo, get one of those blood sugar test strips out. And this Lancet, let's do this one. So this lancing device, basically, it has to go into a lancing device. This is a Lancet. The other one that I had that I just took off screen is a spring-loaded one, which I like because it's actually pretty simple to use. But let's go ahead and use this one tonight. So basically, you pop this. You would put this in a lancing device, which I don't use. I usually really just take this and I poke my finger. So go ahead and turn this off. And in here is what the Lancet looks like. Okay, so you'll see the little, you can probably get a sense of the little needle that's right there. And I really just kind of take this thing, I poke it into my finger. And hopefully I did a good job of yep, that did. Getting a drop of blood. Apply that here to the Keto Mojo. And get another drop and apply that here to the contour. And based on the contour, you see right now, blood sugar is 59, and from the, sorry, Keto Mojo 59 and contour 53. And then on the screen, of course, we'll see that the Dexcom says I'm 63 and the Libre says I'm 56, right? So 55, so 53, 56, 59, and 63. Okay, so that's the range of what I have. And so right now, let's go ahead and open up the ketone strip for the Keto Mojo, and we'll get that in there. All right, and get that started. And of course, I'm not going to show you what it is quite yet, right? Because I always tease you guys. And we'll take a look and see what that is here in just a minute. So let's hop over and let's go ahead and let's talk. Let's get back to our topic for tonight. And so as we get into holidays, there are several things that go on in our minds, several things that happen that we want to really kind of talk about. And some of the social challenges and some of the challenges for fasting, right? Social challenges, and then some of the challenges for fasting. And for if we're not careful, then we can run into some issues in terms of our fasting that can really set us back. And so we want to talk a little bit about what those challenges are and how we perhaps navigate some of those. Okay. And so in terms of fasting, there we go. In terms of fasting, some of the things that we struggle with, and these are basically kind of social challenges. One is exposure to high calorie, sugary, and fatty foods. So as we are working to become healthy, we've made some changes. If you remember, we created a 7-day menu. We're in the process now of looking at starchy versus non-starchy vegetables. The pillars for managing diabetes and reversing diabetes are three. There are three of them. One is suppress insulin. Number two, decrease our appetite. And then number three, get rid of sugar. And in the social situations around holidays, all of those kind of go haywire, right? Because there's so many things in our environment. And so we have exposure. Number two, the social gatherings are centered around food, centered around meals. Remember, a lot of the things that we do in the space of holidays has to do with the things that we eat, the foods that we eat. There's also pressure from family and friends to eat more, particularly if you're fasting. They're like, hey, what's wrong with you? Why are you starving yourself? Why don't you eat some more? And so there's that pressure there. Limited control over meal times and food options. So if you are going somewhere, if you're going to hang out with family during the holiday, particularly these holidays, like I said, revolving around food, you may not be in control of the meal or when you eat. And so you basically are in the situation where you don't have control. And when we don't have control, often we will default to going along because we don't want to be different, right? So that's a big one. Or, right, remember the confused mind doesn't want to make a decision. So if the mind is confused, it's going to default to the easiest thing, and the easiest thing often is to just do what's happening in the place, right? So I've decided I wasn't going to eat a particular thing, but hey, I'm going to eat it. So because I didn't make a decision earlier, and I don't have control. And then there's disruption of your regular routine and your regular schedule. If we could stay in our routine, if we can stay in our environment where we have control, often it's much simpler to get through the process of doing the things that we say we want to do. But when we are in another space, when our schedule is messed up, when our schedule is off track, then often the plan that we came up with goes out the window. Okay? Finding time for fasting within the holiday activities. So if, for instance, here we've encouraged, we've challenged you to fast for a 24-hour period once a week. That's what our challenge is. And so as we get into the social situation, we get into the holidays, for example, right? The schedule is much different. And there are activities that are going on all the time. You know, somebody's grilling. Hey, come over to the house. We're going to have a get together. Hey, Saturday night, we're going to do this. And so you are now trying to fit your fasting time within the schedule of what's going on in your environment, in your social group, in your family, with your friends. There is emotional eating due to holiday stress, right? Whether it's traveling or you're hosting, or you have to make a dish to take with you, or hey, these family members who don't always get along are coming, and what's that gonna be like? Right? So there are all these emotional things that happen, and we'll talk about the HEAT model here in just a minute, because that E, right? E right here. The E stands for emotions. So habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. How about feeling left out or different from others if you decide you're going to maintain a fasting posture? Right? Everybody else is sitting at the table and they're all eating and you're there, but you're not participating. And one of the biggest drivers for humans is the desire to be included, the desire for connection. So rather than be different, we will succumb, if you will, that's the word I'm going to use. We will succumb, we will come off of our plan because we want to be included. How about alcohol consumption and its impact on fasting? So not just the calories from alcohol, but also the effect that it has on our mind and our thought process, and how much easier it would be to come off of our plan if we are drinking alcohol. And then, of course, balancing fasting with traditional customs, right? So there are certain customs that people have around holidays, and those may not align with the fasting or the decision you've made in terms of your eating plan. Now, I keep saying fasting because fasting is what we're using, but this could be the same for your decision to be on a ketogenic diet or a Mediterranean diet, doing intermittent fasting or low carb, or whatever meal tool, whatever meal plan you've decided to use. There are social issues that come up in those situations that you're going to have to kind of deal with. Right? So if you're out there and you are anticipating, hey, there's something, I'm going to do something, which one of these do you think is yours? Like, which one do you think you're going to struggle with the most? Right? Is it exposure to high calories or social gatherings, right? Centered around food, or pressure from family and friends, limited control, disruption of your schedule, right? Finding time for fasting during the holidays. Emotional eating, or feeling like you are left out, so you don't want to be different. Alcohol, or just balancing fasting with traditional customs or rituals. Which one do you think would be a place where you would have a struggle? And all of this is not really about fasting. It's all about the socialness, right? It is about the social connections. Remember, one of the most powerful one of the most powerful reasons that we eat, if we go back to the heat model, is that habit and the emotions and the access. I should say one of the most, but the triggers, the habits, emotions, access, and taste. Right, the habits that we form every time we get together on the 4th of July, we grill, and this is what we do. Although that emotion, that desire for connection, the desire to be involved in community, desire to be involved, the desire not to be different, an emotion. Access. Now that you're there, you're with the family, there's all this stuff that may not fit with what you want to eat, or it does fit, but you've decided that you are going to maintain a fasting posture. And then of course taste, right? Because you remember what Aunt Sue's pumpkin pie or Aunt Sue's apple pie or Aunt Sue's whatever pie it is, you remember what it tastes like. Or you remember the homemade ice cream that the family makes every time we get together. And so that memory, remember, we're never chasing food. We're always chasing what the food is doing for us. And one of the things that food does is it takes us back in time to that place where we had that thing, where we felt that way, or that connection that we made with our mom or dad or cousin or uncle or friend when we were eating that thing. Or there's my wife and I, we were in Chicago years ago. It was the Food Fest, and even to today, right? That was over 32 years ago, and even today we talk about the Food Fest because there's that memory, there's that connection. You've heard me talk about the place I go, St. Simon's Island, right? When I need to decompress, when I need to be mindful, when I need to be present. When I need to go into meditation, I will take myself to St. Simon's Island. And I haven't told you, but at St. Simon's Island, they had these little birds on a plate that we ate, that they got for us. And so as part of the memory, there are those food items that also take me back there. Right? So we have that taste. And so as we talk about getting together in community, those are some of the things that we will struggle with. Okay? So those are some of the social challenges. Well, what about fasting challenges? What about fasting challenges? Because we're talking about fasting. And so with the fasting challenges, number one, right? One challenge that we have is maintaining consistency in our fasting schedule. Yeah, several months ago, I went away to Jamaica for my birthday. And while we were in Jamaica, I actually went to Jamaica. I was fasting. And we got there and we met some friends. And I had not at the time made a decision about what I was going to do. And so there was almost this kind of anxiety that was building up in that situation. Right? Go back and watch that one. Or last week, we celebrated my anniversary. And in this case, I had made a decision about what I was going to do because I knew we were going to have some anniversary cake. And so I started my fast early so that when I got to the event, when I interrupted the fast, it was not, I had already done what I needed. Okay? So adequate fasting to accommodate irregular meals. Adapting fasting. So that is what we just talked about. So I adapted my fasting. I knew what my fasting schedule was. I knew what my anniversary was coming up. I knew what was going to happen on the anniversary. And so I just started fasting earlier. Like I did this week. Because I know tomorrow we're traveling and we're going to be eating differently than we normally eat. I'm going to have some barbecue. I'm going to have, right? And I actually took some pictures. I was at the grocery store this evening a little while ago, and I was going down the different aisles. Let's see if I can do it a little differently. Let's see. Here we go. Let's do this one. So I'm going down the different aisles, and just looking at some things. And one of the things that I looked at, right, was some barbecue sauce, right? Sweet Baby Ray's is one that we like, right? Is that the same one? Yeah. So honey barbecue. Now, if you remember, let's go ahead because I pulled up on the Yuka app. Let's see, where is my Yuka app? Yuka. I pulled up on my Yuka app so that we could see. Here we are. Yeah. So we could see some of that, right? So let's take a look at honey barbecue. All right, so 16 grams of sugar per serving. And a serving is 37 grams. If I look at the honey barbecue one, right, 16 grams, 37 grams. So pretty much the same thing, right? But while I was there, right, I don't know why I did this to myself. There are a couple of things that I like, and I wanted to really just kind of scan it to see what it was like. I shouldn't have picked it up in the first place. I didn't eat it. I put it back. I didn't buy it. But these Cadbury's right here, these are one of my favorite. I can't tell you the last time I had one. But 15 grams of sugar, 28 grams is a serving. And usually when I grab one of these, I eat the whole thing. I think the thing has probably three servings, maybe. So anyway, I looked at that, and then I also looked at. I love these tacos, these taco shells. And so anyway, I looked at that. But during the holidays, and I saw people going down the aisles, and people were looking at different things, and people were picking up. And so during the holidays, there is this desire to be included. And so adapting your fasting schedule is important. How about dealing with, let's get back over there. How about dealing with temptations and cravings, right, for food? Because the food is going to be there. Even as I was going down the aisles today in the at the grocery store, right, looking at all the things that were there. I went down the soda aisle. I went down the aisle with all the condiments, right? I even went down the aisle and took some pictures of, not pictures, but I took some video, right? So this was a display that they had at the grocery store, right? Celebrating and advertising, all right? So there's all this stuff that's there. So advertising, right? All of the deliciousness, right? So it's prompting you. And let's see, there's another one that I did. Let's see, so I went down, so that's going down the beverage aisle. What I was looking for was the Dr. Pepper Zero. I know, don't judge me. And then, of course, going down the meat aisle to see all the things that are there, what people were buying. Yeah. So there's all of this. So dealing with temptations and cravings. How about staying motivated with holiday indulgences? So we say, okay, we're going to do some things. We're going to either stay on our plan, or we're not going to stay on our plan. And what do we do? Right? What do we do if we decide that we're going to stay on our plan? How do we navigate all of that? And that's one of the struggles that people will have. So how about communicating with family members and letting them know where you are in terms of your. Give me just a second here, guys. One of my devices is acting up. How about communicating with family members and letting them know, hey, I'm either not going to fast, right? And one of the things that I've encouraged you to do is to not make this a big deal. Don't make this a grand production. That's not how you want to handle this. Right? So communicating fasting to the family and to your friends. And sometimes it is just as simple as saying, no, thank you. Hey, would you like such and such? No, thank you. Done. If they come back and say, well, what, why are you not eating? I notice you're not eating. You get to make the decision as to whether you're going to explain. How about managing energy levels while fasting during a busy holiday season? Because there's so much cortisol that's coming out, right? And there's all this stuff that's going on, all this activity. And during that time, if you're not careful, remember one of the keys was to not be in a stressful environment or stressful situation. But here we are, the holidays can be stressful for a lot of people. And then balancing fasting within travel, like we're going to be traveling. And so how do you do that? How do you balance fasting? If you decide you're staying on the fasting plan, what do you do as you're traveling? Because there are temptations there. If you're in the car driving, you stop at the gas station, stop at a restaurant so everybody else could eat. If you're in the airplane, you're in the terminal, there's all this activity, there are all these during the despite fasting. Right? The days leading up to when you decide you're going to fast, the days after. Sometimes with the holidays, they're the things that we have available to us, not always nutrient dense, often calorie dense. And then how about integrating fasting with other health goals? So you've decided that you're going to cut back on carbs or fat or sugar or salt. And then you're in the situation where that's not what's available. And how do you manage that? All right. So those are some of the questions that we have, some of the questions that we struggle with, really. And so what do we do? What do we do? So let's talk a little bit about what we do. And let me just do a shout out to Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer says, howdy, Steve, and hey, Doc. Glad that you are here. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for coming through. And so how do we navigate those situations? Well, number one goes back to, and this is the reason that I started by showing you the tools that we use. Number one is to go back to your why. Why am I doing this? Why have I taken charge of my health? Why have I decided to fast? What's the reason? What are my goals? Because the goals will help you to determine how you proceed, and it will also give you the energy and the support to whatever decision you've made. When I started fasting, and I may have told this story, my son one night made lemonade. Actually, I was getting ready to come on the show. That's right. I was getting ready to come on the show. I was getting ready to do a live. I was going to do a check-in. And I had been fasting for 72 hours. And I was going to break the fast here on the show. And just as I was about to come in, my son said to me, hey, Daddy, or Mommy and Daddy, I made this lemonade. And it's the best lemonade that I've made ever. And he poured a little bit into a cup and he handed it to my wife. And he poured some and he handed it to me. And I said to him, hey, man, I'll drink it later. And I took it and I put it in the refrigerator. And I came in, and Mom was like, oh, yeah, this is good. And I came in here and I did the show. And my son didn't say anything. Right? He didn't respond much. I mean, in a negative way. But I thought to myself that here's a place where this young man, my son, had made this thing that he was excited about, that he wanted to share with me. And remember, one of the reasons that we do the things that we do, the reason why I want to be healthy, is so I could be around for my son, to share with his joys, to share in the things that he does. so that we can connect with each other. And here was this time when he had done something that was exciting to him. And I didn't participate because I said I was fasting. And like I said, I was coming on to do the show. And so that day, after I did the show, I made the decision that the connection that I have with people is more important than the fasting. So that when I went to Jamaica, when I went to Jamaica and I was fasting and we met up with friends and we went to one of our friends' houses. And I'm sitting there and we're talking. And the wife gets up and she goes to the kitchen and she comes back with a tray and she has juice and say, hey, boom. And she's handing it out. I grabbed one and I drank it. Okay, so that was a decision that I made at that time. But our why, so the why for me is the connection. I want to be healthy. I want to be here. I want to be around for the connection. And so I chose not to lose that connection. When it was my anniversary and my wife stuck a piece of stuffed a fork into the cake and brought it to my mouth, I could have said, wait a minute, I'm fasting. But the connection right there, y'all, is what's important to me. Okay, so what is your why? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Right. So that's the first thing. Got to figure out the why, because the why will help you in the direction. It will give you support. Number two, right? So that's the why. Number two is I don't want to say concerned. I was say be encouraged and be sure of your position. Be encouraged by and be sure of your position. So you don't have to kowtow. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to feel guilty when someone says to you, hey, would you like such and such? And you say, no, thank you. That's a decision that you've made. Own the decision. Be in that space. You don't have to make an apology for it. Now, you don't have to be obnoxious about it, but you don't have to make an apology for the decision you made to stay in that space. So you've got to be sure. Number three, don't make a big deal. Don't announce when you walk in, hey guys, you know I'm fasting, so I can't eat anything. No, it's nobody's business. Be comfortable in your space and don't make a big deal. Someone offers you something, you don't want to take it? No, thank you. If they ask, if they persist, you can feel free to make a short answer. Hey, you know what? I've noticed that you have not been eating. Yeah, I'm eating a little differently these days. Done. That's it. Now they say, well, tell me about it. Now you can explain without going into all of the details of fasting and the 24 hours and the 36 hours and the autophagy. You don't have to do that. Just say, hey, I'm eating a little differently. If they say, well, tell me about it, you say, well, I'm fasting. If they are interested, then they will ask, and then you can go into more details. Does that make sense? The next one is to be flexible and adaptable. Flexible and adaptable. What does that mean? Flexible and adaptable means that there are times when you probably, likely, should make a decision to alter what you do. That's why we educate, we empower, and we encourage. Because if you understand the reason for what you're doing, if you understand how your body works, if you understand how fasting works, then you can be flexible. You may decide, hey, I'm on a 72-hour fast, but it's 48 hours in. I'm at the grill. Everybody's around. Everybody's eating a hot dog. Everybody's eating hamburgers. Everybody's having a good time. Okay, I'm going to right now interrupt the fast, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eat something. Yeah, you can make that decision. And that's being flexible. Hey, I normally fast from, I don't know, midnight to 2 a.m., but we've got a function going on, so I'm going to change my fasting schedule. I'm a we went black there for a minute. Well, if you're able to do those things, then fasting becomes not a chore. Fasting becomes a just a tool that you use. And then if you decide that you are going to come off of your plan, you want to eat mindfully. That's another one of those tools, mindful eating. So that, okay, I've decided I'm coming off of the fast, and there's all this deliciousness that's around me, but I'm still going to be mindful in how I partake. I'm going to choose the healthier things. And even if I choose something that does have, quote unquote, is not the healthiest for me, I'm going to remember the things that I've learned. The pillars, right? Decrease insulin, suppress appetite, get rid of as much sugar. I'm going to choose probably the non-starchy versus the starchy vegetables. I'm going to be aware of the emotions that are building up in me that may push me to eat a particular thing and have more of it and more of it and more of it. And then stay hydrated and active. Stay hydrated and active. If you're dehydrated, then you're more likely to succumb to the things that are around you, the food that's there, because you're going to feel like you're tired, lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, all those things. And we often choose food as a way of dealing with them. And then a big one. Your decision to stay on the fast or your decision to interrupt the fast should not cause guilt or sorrow or depression. Often we're not sure of what we're doing. We're not sure of the decision we made. And so we, in the middle of a particular situation, we make a swift decision, and then we feel guilty. Either we come off the fast, we interrupt the fast when we didn't want to, and we're like, man, I failed. Man, what a bad person I am. Man, if I had enough courage, if I have enough strength, if I was moral, if I had more integrity, if I was, right? And we go through all this stuff in our head. And you know what that does? It causes cortisol to go up because there's this stress, there's this anxiety. And when cortisol comes, cortisol is one of those emotions, one of those things that builds up emotions. When we get to the top of that roller coaster, remember that E? Right here, right? The emotions. If that emotion gets high enough, it gets strong enough, it's going to push through. It's going to destroy any other decisions you've made. So that process of self-incrimination sets you up for further failure. But own it. I've made a decision. I'm in the middle of my fast, and I'm making a decision to interrupt the fast. That's my decision. And I'm not feeling guilty about that. Or if you decide that you're not going to interrupt the fast and you're going to stay on the fast, I'm not feeling guilty. I'm not going to make myself feel odd and ostracized and like the oddball in that situation. I am going to still engage as much as I can around all the activities that are going on because I've made a decision that I'm going to stick to the decision I made that I'm fasting. So that guilt, that idea of I failed, the depression that may come with that, let's get rid of that. because you own it. You've made a decision. It's a tool. I can pick it up when I want, and I can put it down when I want. The tool of fasting. And then enjoy the occasion. Often we get so pigeonholed, we get so tied up with the food that's involved in the situation that we miss the main point of the situation is the celebration of the day, the season, the people, the connection, the family gathering, the friends that are around. So focus on that. Get yourself busy with that so that this fasting, the decision to be healthy, doesn't consume you and cause even more damage and more issues. So how do I get through the holidays? How do I successfully make it through? That's it right there. You make it through because you've made that decision that this is where you're going to be. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's hop over and take a look at some of these comments. So Steve says, I intended to do a 24 today, but I felt like I needed a snack. So I ate a handful of macadamia nut. No big deal. So Steve, man, you know about my nut fetish. And so macadamians, I'm gonna have to get some. Now, I went to the grocery store, I told you guys tonight, and I picked up a bag of almonds, and I picked up a can of cashews, and I put them in my cart. And I rode down other aisles as I was getting some videos, and then I was like, what am I doing? I already know what's about to happen. And so I went and I put them back. But yes, you can make a decision to do that. All right. So for me, I have decided, and you guys you guys know that I'm at 93 and actually just about to go to 94 hours of my fast. And I've actually decided that I'm going to break the fast right here with you right now on the show, because tomorrow is a travel day for me. Tomorrow is the 4th, and I am going to enjoy some barbecue and some other stuff that's out there, and so I'm gonna eat. And so I have with me, let's see, I have with me what I'm going to use to actually break the fast. All right, so let's get rid of this one over here. Let's see, let's put this back up. So that's where my blood sugar is right now. So this is some cheese, and I've got some cheddar cheese. I got some smoked Gouda, and then I've got some tofu that my wife cooked. So that's what I'm gonna use to break the fast. But I'm breaking the fast tonight right here with you guys, and then tomorrow I'm enjoying some barbecue. Okay. All right. So yes. So that is my decision. And it's 93, 94 hours, which is why I started my fast early, because I knew I wanted to get through a full fast this week, but I was going to do this on the 4th. And so I wanted to adjust my eating time, my schedule, so that I can do that. And you can do that. Now, I fast typically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's for a specific reason. I fast for that because on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on Saturday, Sunday, that's my family time. I go to church. We go out. We hang out with family. And guess what family is doing? We're eating. And so I've decided that this is what I want to do. And so typically we have our team meeting at lunchtime on Tuesdays. And so I want to be able to participate with the team. And so typically I will start my fast that evening. So Tuesday, as you know, 72 hours, starting from Tuesday to Friday. These last several weeks, I've started earlier because there were things going on in my life. My anniversary, my son's birthday, here, of course, 4th of July coming up. Right? So you can adjust it. All right. Let's see. Steve has a question. He says, question, last night my ketones were 1.9. Tonight I decided to check my ketones after not fasting and I was 2.9. Does that make sense? I'm assuming that's what that says. Does it make sense? Huh. It depends on what you've been eating. So remember that ketones, this is Steve, it's a great question, by the way. So remember that you can have ketones even though you are not fasting. In fact, one of the reasons I chose the food that I chose here is that there are minimal carbs. And so I'm trying to extend the ketosis that I'm in, even though I'm eating. So it depends on what you've been eating, depends on what your blood sugars have been doing. And remind me, was it a 24-hour fast that you did, Steve? All right. So it depends on the foods that you're eating. So remember, ketosis or ketogenic diet is with the intention of putting you in ketosis, even though you're eating. Or those fasting mimicking diets that we talked about several shows ago, those are with the intention of having you in ketosis, even though you're not fasting. Okay, so it depends on what you've been eating. Jennifer says, have a great, safe, happy 4th. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night to you. All right, so let's hop over and let's do some things here really quickly. Let's talk, first of all, I want to see what my ketones are at 94 hours of fasting. So let's take a look at my Keto Mojo. So I have to get that up, and then I'll need to pull up my Keto Mojo app. Let's go ahead and do that, and it'll have to sync. All right, so that's my meter, and then let's get this syncing. All right, and we'll see here in just a minute what. Oh, I gotta turn it on. That's why it's not syncing. There we go. Syncing in progress, scanning in process. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully it got everything. Okay, yeah, it did get it. And so my blood sugar 59, and then ketones 3.5. Remember, in terms of ketones less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. Okay, so those are the different ketones, different places that we find ketones. So let's hop over and let's take a look at my meter or my report, and so we can see where I've been. All right, that report right there, right down below. Let's hop over. Let's take a look at this one. All right, so you'll see there right there, my average blood sugar is 115. That's for the last 2 weeks. If I change that to 90 days, you'll see here in just a minute what my 90-day average is 105. 105. I'm in target 90% of the time, which is a range of 70 to 180. And my glucose management indicator, which is a surrogate for my A1C, it would be 5.8. If I look at each of the days during the fast, so that'll come up here in just a minute, then we get a sense of what's been going on, what's been happening with me over the last several days. So so Sunday was when we started fasting, right there about 1 o'clock in the morning. That's right, 1 o'clock a.m. Right, we were 169, and so blood sugars coming down into the 100s. And so 24 hours later, so we've been fasting for about 24 hours at this point, then we're 106. And then 48 hours, right about 1 o'clock, we're in the 80s. And then 72 hours, we're in the 73, so that was this morning. And then as we went through the day, notice that our blood sugars kind of stayed straddling 70s, right? Below 70 and higher and low 70s. And then here in just about an hour, a little over an hour, actually 2 hours, then it'll be 96 hours. So right now I am 93, 94 hours in and we're going to break the fast right here with you on the show. Okay. All right. So what am I going to use to break the fast? As I said, right now I have some tofu. Got some. Let's use this one so you can see a little better. So I've got some tofu, and I got some cheese. So this is cheddar cheese, and this is smoked Gouda, and then this is like tofu that my wife sautéed, and probably have some Bragg's in there, Bragg's amino acid. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna take a bite of that. Let's see. What should I do first? Okay, I'm gonna have some of the tofu. Ready? Here we go. First bite in 94 plus hours. Oh yeah. That's good. Delicious. So remember, as you're breaking a fast, you can decide that there are things that you're going to eat that help you maintain the ketosis. And so the things that are on the plate right now do have carbs, but will probably maintain ketosis longer than some other things I could eat. That is so good. How about some of this Gouda? And so I have two different types. Let's see. Two different brands. And this is one that I've been using. But I'm going to go ahead and let's taste a little bit about this other one. Let's see. Okay, not bad. I think I prefer the other one, but that could simply be because that's what I'm used to, right? But I think that one is aged a little bit more, the new one. Delicious, y'all, delicious. Okay. And of course, cheddar. That is so good. Okay. So, if you are in a fast and you plan to maintain the fast through the holidays, put yes. If you are in a fast and you plan to interrupt the fast, put no. And if you're not doing a fast at all, put not. Yes, if you're in a fast that you plan to interrupt. No, if you're in a fast that you plan to maintain. And not if you're not even in a fast right now. If you did like me, where you're ending the fast prior to the day. Good stuff. This would go good with some smoked turkey. Delicious. All right, so I see. This is Steve put in there. So he put yes. So he's in a fast that he plans to interrupt. Good for you. Good for you. Now, remember, it is so important. And I want you to hear this. Make a decision prior to. Right? So one of the ways of managing this is to, for example, if you don't want to eat something at the function, eat something before you go. Right? That's the great way that we talk to patients or to people who are in our clients. And we say to them, even if you're not fasting, if you want to be more in control of the things you eat when you get there, eat something before you get there. So when you get there, you're not like ravenous and you don't feel like, well, I got to eat something. You then have more control over what you eat. Okay. Some people decide that they're going to take with them food that is more consistent with their eating plan. That's okay. But you've got to own that. You got to be comfortable with that. Some people don't feel like walking in with a Tupperware into somebody else's house or in some situation. Be comfortable with that. Okay? Awesome. All right. So, I want you to know, I want you to remember that you have unlimited ability. You have the ability to make decisions for yourself. I love this space. I love the tools. I love the education. I love the community because I get to make a decision about being in the community, about making decisions about what I eat. Like the fasting thing, I can decide today, okay, I'm going to do a 72-hour fast. Next week, I can decide I'm going to do a 24-hour fast or a 48-hour fast. I get to make the decision based on what's going on. Now, as you make the decision, I want you to remember that the decision that you make, you want to make sure that you're getting the benefit of it, right? So that you are improving blood sugars, that you are in the process of reversing diabetes, that your weight is going down, that we're improving metabolic syndrome and all those things. So the decision you make should support the goal that you have, but you get to make the decision. And you have unlimited potential at your fingertips. You get to decide how that gets implemented. Unlimited ability. And here on the channel, we educate, we empower, and we encourage, right? That's the triple E formula for success that we've talked about. We educate with the shows, with the podcast, with the blog. Because the mindset needs to change. There has to be a shift in our thought process to be successful. We've got to have a growth mentality. We've got to become flexible. We have to improve our plasticity. We educate. We empower with the tools. Remember the tools that we talked about? Some of the tools that we're using to reverse our diabetes. Our why. Fasting. The heat model. Managing medication. Emotional intelligence. All of those are tools that we're using to implement and to express the information that we're learning in the education. And then our community, amazing community that we have, that we're growing, you get to be a part of that. You get to improve that. Our community is strong as you come in and you are now becoming a part of it and sharing your talents and your thoughts and your impressions and your point of views. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. Remember, during this, particularly as we go through these holidays, the heat model gives us the triggers that push us in the direction of eating, right? The habits, the emotions, the access, the taste, those things that will derail us, those things that will push through our decision to stick to our plan. And then our call to action. Call to action. Join the challenges. Don't just let them be things that are on the shelf that you've listened to and hey, yeah, I heard that stuff, but yeah, no. We want you to be sure that you are part of this, that you are becoming involved with the challenges. And we have a challenge every month. In January was to figure out your why, which is perfect for the discussion we just had, because the why is what gives you the strength and the power and the encouragement to continue down the road of being healthy. In February, hey, let's figure out how to work our way up to fast for a 24-hour period. Right? The very first thing is what we want to do, because the power of fasting is so amazing. The heat model was the next challenge. Figure out which one of the models, which one of the triggers is yours. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Mine is actually EAT, emotions, access, and taste. The emotions and the access are the biggest ones. Which one is yours? Because if you can understand that, then you have power to control it, power to deal with it, power to harness it for your benefit. And then create a menu, create a meal plan, create a dish that minimize the processed foods. So with whole foods, that decrease the added sugar, that had starchy and non-starchy vegetables, lean protein, healthy fat, the appropriate portion sizes, and then that tasted good. Because if it doesn't taste good, then people probably won't eat it. In the month of May, we challenge you to mentor someone. Find someone to bring along with you in the New Year, New You process. There are over 1 billion people on the planet with diabetes or prediabetes, and you could be the voice of change in your community, in your family, on your job, at your church, somewhere. Find someone that you could begin teaching the New Year, New You process. And then last month, make sure that we're getting things checked. Get your labs checked so we know if there are complications, if there are things that we need to be taken care of. These are all screening. Make sure you get with your doctor and do that. And then for this month, hey, what is the activity? What is the exercise? What is the physical activity plan that you're going to lay out? So we challenge you to include one thing. We're going to be talking more about that as we get through the month. But what one thing are you going to do to begin getting some physical activity into your life? So join the challenges. They're out there. You can do them even if you're finding us late in the year. Even if you're just stumbling on this channel, just stumbling on this stuff. Hey, we want to make sure that you know that you are not late. You're not late. So join the challenges. Then tell your story. Share your story, just like Steve was doing, sharing that he was 24 hours, talking about his ketones. All of that stuff is important. Because when we see you, we know that we can do it as well. When you have challenges, we come around you and we support you. And we know that we're not alone either. And then invite a friend. Send them a link. Send them a video. Say to them, hey, let's go watch this together. Hey, let's start fasting together. Let's improve our health together. Don't just keep it to yourself. So share it. Challenges, tell your story, and share it with someone else. Because that is how we grow the community. On this past Sunday, well, not this past Sunday, but recently, this is going to be our third episode coming up this Sunday. This Week in Review, a new feature that we've added. Join us Sunday morning where we recast and comment on several of the shows that we do. Make sure that you are there. Make sure that you join us for that. And I love that feature. We've had people talking to us or sending us messages to say that they love that and being very appreciative of the fact that that is there. So if you missed us during the week, we love that you are here on the live. But if you missed the live or you missed one of the recasts, Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, starting at 6 o'clock, we'll have This Week in Review. Awesome. Well, I am excited to be here, excited to be with you. Always excited to be in this space, this community that we are building. I want you to have an amazing time connecting with family, amazing time as you continue your fast or you interrupt your fast. Whatever decision you've made, it is your decision and you get to own that. I want you to own it because you are in charge. You get to make that decision. Whatever you've done in the past, that's in the past. What's coming in the future, we don't know. But we can be mindful right here, right now, even as you're now planning to be with family, to be with friends, to be around food. Be mindful. Don't get depressed over the past. Don't be anxious of the future, because right now you are okay. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. Enjoy your holidays. We're going to have a feature that comes tomorrow for you, and then join us Sunday morning for our check-in, not for our check-in, but this week in review, and then on Monday for our show at 7 p.m. Central, right here on Dwain Woode MD. Good night, everybody.